Levitt.
San Diego Padres baseball coming up on 97.3 The Fan and the Padres Radio Network. Today the Padres take on the Chicago Cubs in the first game of a 3-game series. Our starting pitching matchup for the Cubs, left-hander Justin Steele, and for the Padres, right-hander Yu Darvish. Hi again everyone, Sam Levitt here inside our San Diego studios. First pitch coming up at 4:40 at Wrigley Field in Chicago. Coming up in the next 50 minutes, you'll hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt. We'll check in with Tony Gwynn Jr. in just a few minutes. Plus, we'll hear from a new guy in the Padres lineup here today, Donovan Solano, and much, much more to come. But first, let's set the table, brought to you by Fraser Farms Market. Set your table with the highest quality of natural and organic products from Fraser Farms Market, a San Diego original since 1971 with 3 locations, La Mesa Vista and Oceanside. Padres entered today with a record of 18-19. Padres had a 4-game win streak snapped yesterday afternoon, but they did take 2 out of 3 from Arizona. Meanwhile, the Cubs are 21-14. They're just 5-5 in their last 10 games, but the Cubbies did take 2 out of 3 from the Brewers this weekend. Remember, this is the second series between these two teams. Padres took 2 out of 3 from the Cubs in early April. Cubs lefty Justin Steele returns from the IL today to make his first start since he was injured on opening day. Steele reportedly will be built up to around 75 pitches. Padres righty Yu Darvish makes his second start since coming off the IL due to neck tightness. He went 5 scoreless innings in his return to the mound last week. Padres have a tough week, no way around it. 3 games against a good Cubs team, and then 3 more this weekend here in San Diego against a red-hot Dodgers team, so buckle up. A lot of competition this week for the Padres as they finish up this 6-game road trip with a 3-game series in Chicago. Before we turn our full attention to today's game, let's take a quick look back at Sunday in Arizona.
How did the Padres fare in their last game? Let's take a look back with our Padres Rewind. Presented by Hamul Casino. With thrilling slots and tables and all the best rewards, Hamul Casino has all the fun you're looking for. Hamul Casino. Fun above all else.
It was a rough first inning for Matt Waldron on the mound yesterday for the Padres. Ketel Marte hit a 2-run home run. Corbin Carroll hit a 2-run single. And just like that, the D-backs had a 4-0 lead. But the Padres responded in the second, courtesy of Jackson Merrill.
Left-handed batter with a runner on first, and he swings at the first pitch. Skies it to deep right field. Smith is back. It's going to go. A 2-run homer for Jackson Merrill. He ambushes the fastball from Ryan Nelson, and the deficit is cut in half. 4-2 Arizona in the second.
Padres weren't done. There was a runner on base for Kyle Higashioka.
On the homestand, swings here, lines it over Suarez. Down the left field line, that's rocketing all the way into the corner. Kim is on his horse, he's rounding third. He is on his way, there will not be a relay. And Kyle Higashioka, an RBI double. This is a 1-run game.
But the D-backs got 2 runs back in the bottom of the second against Waldron to make it 6-3. Padres did get a run back in the top of the third to make it 6-4. Diamondbacks then extended the lead again in the bottom half of the 4th inning. Matt Waldron continuing to struggle. The same for Johnny Brito. Waldron would give up 8 runs, 7 earned in 3+ innings. Brito allowed 3 runs in 3 innings out of the bullpen. Padres offense, they were not put in a great position to then catch up. Final score yesterday, as the Padres could not sweep that 3-game series from Arizona, the D-backs 11 and the Padres 4. Now the Padres will try to bounce back in the series opener at Wrigley Field here today. As always, if you want to get involved on our pregame coverage, you can do that in a number of different ways. You can tweet at me at SammyLev, SammyLev. Instagram DM's open as well. Same handle there, SammyLev. If you want to get involved on our video streams on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, you can do that by commenting. Let me know what's your key to today's game. I may just read your key to the game live here on the air, and we have much more coming up, including my keys to the game a little bit later in our pregame coverage. Let's go to the Windy City.
Let's go inside the Padres broadcast booth for a deep dive on today's matchup from Tony Gwynn Jr. in our Padres game preview on the Padres Radio Network.
We go to the city of Chicago at historic Wrigley Field. We're joined by Tony Gwynn Jr. as we get ready for today's game on the Padres Radio Network. And Tony, let's start with the guy on the mound for the Padres today, right-hander Yu Darvish, a really solid outing in his return from the IL last week. What did you do so well in that first start back, and what can he do here today to keep that rolling?
He commanded everything. That has been kind of the issue for the Padres starters when, it hasn't gone well. They just haven't been able to command a baseball. And for a guy who hadn't pitched in, 14, 15 days, I thought it was a really impressive performance. I know he was on a pitch count there, but he looked great. And if he goes out and does the same thing here tonight, you can expect the same type of success with Yu Darvish.
Yeah, should be fun to watch you here tonight. We have Donovan Solano back in the lineup for the Padres today. Not back in the lineup, I should say. First time we've seen him in the lineup as a Padre. From the research you've done, Tony, and just knowing about Solano, what he's done throughout the course of a veteran career at this point, what do you think a guy like Solano can bring to a lineup and into a clubhouse?
I'm not necessarily sure what he can bring to the clubhouse, but certainly a professional AB. What I remember of Donovan Solano, when he's in the lineup, you're going to get a good AB every time. And, it's kind of the theme of this Padre offense this year is good ABs. And so as he gets his first crack in the lineup here as a Padre, I think that's the things to look for is the type of at-bats he puts together. He's good short swing from the right side and not a ton of thump, but again, you're going to get a good AB.
Tony, let's stay on the offense for a little bit. The Padres' offense on the road has been really, really good so far this year. In fact, the .288 team batting average, the best batting average on the road in the majors. The numbers have not been quite as good at home. And even Jackson Merrill, just for example, hitting .433 on the road so far this year, just .125 at home. So he's certainly been somebody that sort of that falls right in that category with what the team has done. Anything to that in your mind so far this year, or is that just one of these early season numbers that we should kind of forget at this point?
I don't know that you should necessarily forget them, but it is early. There hasn't been it's a very small sample size still, even to this point. The Padres have played 20 games at home this year. So, I mean, there's some room for that to improve. But historically, a lot of guys have hit better on the road than they have at Petco Park. And so I don't know that there's anything that you necessarily, look into or you read into this early, but I don't know that that's all that crazy, especially for a guy like Jackson Merrill, who was really for the first time ever playing at the big league level.
Justin Steele on the mound for the Cubs today. Steele was injured in his opening day start. He does return to the mound today for just his second start of the season. Really good left-hander, Tony. What do you feel like some of the keys will be today for the Padres offense against a guy like Steele?
I mean, when Steele is on, I mean, it's a lot of ground balls. It's, a lot of weak contact, I should say, and he's the type of guy who's not overpowering by any stretch of the imagination, but he forces, he's in the zone a lot of times, and when he's making his type of pitches, which is on the edges, it can make for a tough evening for any team. And so, as you often hear me say with a guy who wants to keep the ball down, get him up in the zone, get him into the fat part of the plate, and go to attacking. And the Padres, when they've done that this year, and they've done it quite a few times, they're a good offense that you got to deal with.
Finally, Tony, you're in Chicago at Wrigley Field with the Ivy and being nestled in there on the north side of Chicago. You had a chance to play there as a player during your career. You've now had the chance to be there as a broadcaster. What do you enjoy about Wrigley Field and everything it brings?
Everything. I mean, the nostalgia of this place, the views from up here. I mean, this is probably my favorite place to come catch a baseball game, whether it's on the field or whether it's in the booth. This is a lot of history here at a place like Wrigley Field, and I just think it's if you love baseball, I mean, this is definitely a place you want to come see a game.
Yeah, it really is, and I lived right around Wrigley Field during the winter for a few winters, and man, I just love it over there, and Wrigleyville and all of it. It is a really special area, special ballpark, no doubt about it. Tony, as always, appreciate the time. We'll talk to you and Jesse coming up at 4:30 here in San Diego. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Sam.
All right, that is Tony Gwynn Jr. joining us here on our EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show as we get ready for today's game here on the Padres Radio Network. We've got a lot to do between now and first pitch. We'll get into the Padres lineup here today when we come back. Notable absence from the lineup today, so we'll get more into that. We'll also get into what Mike Shildt had to say before today's game. Again, we'll hear from the newest Padre, the guy set to make his Padres debut today, Donovan Solano, and much more to come as we get ready for this series opener at Wrigley Field on the north side of Chicago. We'll have more after this. Our pregame coverage continues on the Padres Radio Network.
You're listening to the EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show. Visit EcoWaterSoCal.com for a free water test and consultation. Your water should be perfect.
The Window Depot is more than a window store. The Window Depot is a one-stop warehouse with everything you need for your complete home remodel. Shop the aisles of pre-built cabinets in a variety of colors, granite and quartz countertops, sinks, skylights, and hardware to complete your project. Need a custom order? We can help. Our designers offer free design services and can special order everything you need for your kitchen or bathroom remodel today. Shop thewindowdepot.com or find a location near you. The Window Depot, more than a window store.
You've waited all year for baseball, and it's finally here. Now, get ready for Major League winning when you join the most generous players club in Southern California at Valley View Casino and Hotel. Join and receive over $100 in free instant offers to enjoy at San Diego's favorite casino. No strings attached. Signing up for the Players Club is always quick, easy, and free. So visit valleyviewcasino.com to learn more today.
Hey guys, it's your old pal Woodsy for Valvoline Instant Oil Change. Your 15 minutes or less drive-through oil change reminds you you can stay in your car while it's being serviced. Valvoline is the quick, convenient, and most trusted oil change provider in San Diego. I go to the one by my house, every 3,000 miles. You're not driving as much, don't need an oil change? Valvoline Instant Oil Change offering a free courtesy check of your tires and battery. Valvoline is open 7 days a week. For directions and discounts, go to SoCalOilChange.com. That's SoCalOilChange.com.
Dixie Line Lumber and Home.
Our EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Sam Levitt with you inside our San Diego studios as we get ready for the first game of this three-game series between the Padres and the Chicago Cubs. Great to have you with us on this Monday, a little rush hour baseball by the time we get going on this Monday. Padres trying to bounce back after losing yesterday's game in Arizona. Padres did take 2 out of 3 from the Diamondbacks, but now the Padres looking to improve back to 500 coming into today's game, sitting at 18-19. We'll have who's hot, who's not coming up in just a little bit. We'll also hear from one of the guys making his Padres debut today, Donovan Solano. We'll have our keys to the game and a full breakdown of this pitching matchup. Good one here today between Yu Darvish and Justin Steele. First, let's hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt.
Let's pull up a seat in the manager's office and hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt. Presented by Sinley Food. Spice up your culinary life.
Before we get into what Mike Shildt had to say earlier today, just a quick look at the Padres lineup. Luis Arraez at the DH spot leading off. Fernando Tatis Jr. in right field batting second. Jake Cronenworth at first base batting third. Jurickson Profar in left field batting cleanup. Xander Bogaerts at second base batting fifth. Donovan Solano at third base batting sixth. Ha-Sung Kim in the seventh spot playing shortstop. Luis Campusano doing the catching batting eighth. And Jackson Merrill in center field batting ninth with, again, right-hander Yu Darvish on the mound here today. You'll note there is no Manny Machado in the Padres lineup here today, so let's hear more on that from Mike Shildt, who was with Bob Scanlon of Padres TV earlier inside the Padres dugout.
How important is it to have Yu Darvish doing what he's doing based on last outing?
Yeah, huge. I mean, last outing was important for the timing of it, where we were, and the ability to go out and throw up zeros when we had a lead. So he did a great job, was very efficient with his pitch count, pretty much took him to his limit. Could justify it based on how hard he was working, because he wasn't working very hard. He was controlling counts, early outs, and was able to get through 5 on 70. So expecting more of the same tonight. Looking forward to seeing him pitch.
It's like a day off for Manny. Kind of doing the opposite of what you do with Bogey in terms of using the off day to try to get him a little extra time.
Yeah, we just knew it's very fluid. I mean, if you think about Manny, first of all, it's good he's been back. He's played back-to-back games, couple times now at third, and just made sense. We knew he was going to get a full day off at some point in this road trip. And just partner with him to figure out what that looked like and, listen to his body. And, if he's still, it sounds odd to say because he's been with us every day and taking at bats. But if you look at it from the field perspective and how much he's been on his feet and back-to-backs and the spring training progression for a guy that he's basically in kind of his second weekish in spring training mode. So, we again talked about what a day off would look like, and we would just continually keep the conversation open, and today turned out to be that day.
The offense on the road has been one of the most productive in all of Major League Baseball, most runs per game, highest batting average. It seems like, though, it's been the Petco approach has been sort of the mantra, but obviously it plays on the road as well.
It plays everywhere, right? And the Petco approach is just good at bats. I mean, we just got a great addition to our club, obviously, in Arraez, and use the whole field, take what the game gives you. Every situation is a situation. Just have a good at bat, knowing what you're going to do relative to what you're going to see, and have the right swing to match it.
Defense has been the best in baseball over the last couple of weeks. It's really been tightened up. Kind of what you expected from the get-go, right? And anything different happening in the last couple of weeks to the guys just getting comfortable and doing their thing?
No, I mean, I'd say that, it's when you look at team defense, you can take a lot of different lenses at it. And I would really say that team defense is relative to, like, the level I take it to, like hitting your cutoff man and being in the right spot and, make sure you're not giving any extra outs. Also relative to, like, holding runners. I feel like it's been pretty darn good all year. You go through and I start, pure, like, routine plays have gotten a little bit better, but I thought that was good. We had a few outliers of some errors that can kind of, change the sample size. But overall, I think our defense has been a strength. And, to your point, again, it's been really, really good in all phases, in the last 2 weeks. We didn't have an error at home, the last homestand, and, had one that was really more of a situational error last year as far as not being where we needed to be to back up the base. But otherwise, it's been good.
And when you're doing those things, to your point, you mentioned it before, it doesn't always reflect in wins and losses, but if you're playing that kind of baseball, you're probably going to come out on the better end in the long run.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't always, but typically it will. If we're going to play consistent defense and, look at the game that can be complex in simple terms, and you're not going to give anything away, you can keep double plays in order, you're going to make the outs, and, make them earn. We also, I don't think there's a coincidence here. We also, been in a nice stretch where we've made people put the ball in play. And so we haven't beat ourselves with free passes. And usually, typically, when you're throwing a lot of quality strikes, you're controlling counts early, your defense is more engaged, and you make more consistent and better, like the unexpected plays more consistently, which we've done very well also.
That was Padres manager Mike Shildt before today's game inside the Padres dugout, and you heard during that clip there, about a 3-minute clip, you heard Mike Shildt talk about why Manny is not in the lineup today, and sounds like just a day off for Manny as he continues to work his way back, playing third base, so that's good news. Just a day off, it appears, for Manny Machado here today. I'll get a little bit deeper into this a little bit later in our pregame coverage, what Jackson Merrill has done as of late, a bounce back for him after he was scuffling a little bit at the plate. Mike Schultz talked about Jackson Merrill earlier today inside the Padres dugout.
We're super impressed. I mean, known Jackson for a while now, going back to his minor league experiences and getting to know him a little bit there. But, expect a guy to come up at, sub 20, now 21, in a new position. I mean, it's actually historic. I mean, there's some, history with that, and he's just done an amazing job. And the thing that two things I've been really pleased with. A, he was able to come up and not make this environment bigger than it is, which is way easier said than done, and he's able to do that. So that's impressive. It's the first one. The second one is when the league starts to look around, and the league figures you out quicker now with all the data and technology and information, so that you don't have to actually see a player now to kind of figure out what he's doing, how he's doing it. But there's an adjustment that the league has made to Jackson, and the counter adjustment that Jackson's made back to staying clear to who he is and what he is and the approach he's doing to get a good pitch to hit has been really impressive as well.
That was Padres manager Mike Schultz. Before today's game, we'll hear more from Mike Schultz on our post-game show after today's game. Let's quickly pause for station ID on the Padres Radio Network.
KWFN-FM and KWFN HD1 San Diego.
This is Yu Darvish from the San Diego Padres.
You're listening to Padres Baseball on the Padres Radio Network.
An Odyssey sports station.
Sam Levitt with you inside our San Diego studios. The guy you just heard from on the mound for the Padres today, right-hander Yu Darvish against left-hander Justin Steele. First pitch coming up in Chicago at 5:40. Now let's tell you who's hot, who's not.
Which player is locked in at the dish? Who needs to kick things up another notch? This is Who's Hot, Who's Not on the Padres Radio Network.
We begin with the hot category. Jurickson Profar certainly in that category right now in the midst of an 11-game on-base streak, batting .463 with 3 home runs, 2 doubles, and 8 RBIs in that span, a .1243 OPS in his last 11 games. How about this for Profar? His .344 batting average on the season ranks 6th in the major leagues. .430 on-base percentage is tied for 2nd. .963 OPS is tied for 6th. He has been simply unbelievable so far for the Padres, again, right now in the midst of an 11-game on-base streak. Luis Arraez, the newcomer, also in the hot category, hits in 12 of his last 13 games, batting .373 in that span with 5 doubles in the midst of an 8-game hit streak entering tonight. Since starting the season 0 for 13, that was with Miami, Arraez is batting .341. Since that point. Jake Cronenworth also in the hot category in the midst of a 9-game hitting streak, batting .342 with a .1076 OPS in that span, 5 doubles, 3 home runs, and 10 RBIs in those 9 games. For the Cubs, Christopher Morel has reached base safely in 9 of his last 17 plate appearances, 3 home runs, and 7 RBIs in that span. In the not category, we take a look at the Cubs' Michael Busch, batting just .206 in his last 17 games. And that's a look at who's hot, who's not as we get ready for this series opener in Chicago. And speaking of the two guys that we mentioned, Morel and Busch for the Cubs. Morel in the midst of a pretty nice season so far. The average won't blow you away, only .220, but he does have 7 home runs so far. Michael Busch batting 5th for the Cubs here today. When we come back at our EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show, we'll dive into some of the injuries for the Padres and the Cubs entering this series. We'll also have our keys to the game, and I'll take your keys to today's game. If you want to get them in, you can do that during this commercial break. You can either tweet them at me, Instagram DM me with them at SammyLev, SammyLev, or you can comment on the video stream now, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, wherever you're watching from. Comment with your key to the game, and I'll address some of those in our next segment. First pitch coming up at 5:40 in Chicago. You're listening to the EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show on the Padres Radio Network.
Hey guys, it's Woodsy here, and I'm sounding the alarm on a serious water issue affecting millions of San Diegans. Toxic forever chemicals called PFAS have been found in the drinking water. The advanced filtration systems from EcoWater SoCal can now remove up to 99.9% of PFAS. Now's the perfect time to visit EcoWaterSoCal.com or call 760-350-3338. Don't wait. Keep your loved ones safe by contacting EcoWater SoCal team today and get rid of PFAS that's in your home's water now.
The San Diego County Bar Association offers a public service to assess your need for a lawyer. You will receive 3 references to qualified attorneys, each of whom will provide you with 30 minutes of legal consultation without charge. Visit needalawyersanddiego.com to learn more.
TimberTech is the #1 premium composite decking brand. It's got the beauty of real wood without all the maintenance. To get free samples or find a local contractor, visit TimberTech.com. TimberTech, everything wood should be.
Here in Southern California, good energy is everywhere. It's in the laughter of friends at the beach and in the wave of cheering fans at a Padres game. Good energy is in our sustainably run restaurants, in the electric school buses, and in the bright futures of wide-eyed science students. Good energy is reliable, fuels our progress, and is what we deliver every day. SDG&E, we bring good energy and so much more.
Get ready for a grand slam of healthcare. Palomar Health is recognized as world's best hospital 4 years in a row and is stepping up to the plate to provide you with the best care. From primary care to game-changing surgeries, our lineup of 300 world-class doctors are ready to knock it out of the park. Palomar Health is bringing healthcare into the future using innovative technologies for better patient outcomes, because winning means your health and happiness. Champions of healthcare, champions for you. Visit palomarhealth.org to find a doctor.
The El Diablo Burger is back at Carl's Jr. Crispy Poppers, it's our spiciest burger ever.
Welcome back to the EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show on the Padres Radio Network. Your water perfected, EcoWater SoCal. Your water should be perfect. Find them online at EcoWaterSoCal.com. Sam Levitt with you inside our San Diego studios as we get ready for today's game on the Padres Radio Network. First of 3 games at Wrigley Field in Chicago. A lot to do here on our pregame coverage as we walk you up towards first pitch coming up at 4:40. Did I say 5:40 earlier? Am I telling people? Okay, in Chicago at 5:40. It is 4:40 here, first pitch. Hold on. What did I say at the very top of the broadcast? No, I did say 4:40. I definitely said 5:40 at some point earlier. Be assured, it is a 4:40 first pitch here in San Diego. I said 5:40 at some point. Oh, well. 4:40. First pitch coming up in just about a little over a half hour as the Padres go for a series opening win in Chicago. Yu Darvish on the mound for the Padres, Justin Steele on the mound for the Cubs. I'll get to some of your keys to the game coming up in just a moment. You'll hear my keys to the game in a little bit as well. We'll also take a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard, hear from today's third baseman, Donovan Solano. But first, let's dive into the injuries for the Padres and the Cubs entering this series.
Who's in? Who's out? This is the Bada Fulkerson Injury Report, presented by San Diego's Bulldog Injury Attorneys, who hope you're never in an accident. But if you are, make Bada Fulkerson the first call you make. Hit them up 24/7 at BadaFulkerson.com.
There was some pretty big injury news for the Padres yesterday. Joe Musgrove put on the 15-day IL. The transaction we originally saw listed him as dealing with right elbow inflammation. We later found out it's more specifically tricep tendinitis. Padres don't appear to believe it's anything overly serious, so hopefully just a couple of weeks on the IL for Joe, and then he's back on the mound. But obviously Joe will miss at least a couple of starts here. Also, we do know that now Randy Vasquez will start tomorrow's game for the Padres in Chicago. So Vasquez, for the moment, taking that rotation spot of Joe Musgrove. For the Cubs, they have two major guys out of the lineup right now. Cody Bellinger is out right now due to a rib fracture. Seiya Suzuki is out with an oblique injury. So the Cubs are winning a lot of games still. They come into today's game 21-14. They're missing Bellinger and Suzuki in their lineup here today and most likely throughout this series. So significant injuries right now for the Cubs. And that's a look at our injury report on this Monday. Taking a look at some of your keys to today's game. Take some YouTube comments. We've got Adam saying, get after Steele early, keep Morel quiet. Well, look, Adam, Steele's a very good left-hander, making his return from the IL today for the Cubs. And Christopher Morel, he can do some damage with the bat, no doubt about it. We have Steven on the YouTube stream saying the key to tonight's game is getting to a tough Cubs starting pitcher, Steele. It will be a tough task tonight against a very good pitcher, Steven. It will be. We'll see if the Padres are up to it. We have Katie saying pedal to the metal on the offense. Biggest key. Good pitching is always helpful, but let's score runs early and add on. Katie, I'm with you. I think grabbing an early lead, getting a good start, that would be very helpful for the Padres here today. Let's take a look at the full out-of-town scoreboard.
Let's take a trip around the Bigs and tell you about the scores you need to know in our out-of-town scoreboard. Presented by Jensen Meat, where great taste meets integrity.
We take a look at scores today from around the major leagues. We have one final already. Phillies beat the Giants 6-1 in Philadelphia. Bryce Harper, a 3-run home run in that game in Philly. Games going on right now. Tigers and the Guardians tied at 1 in Cleveland in the 4th. Angels and the Pirates are scoreless in Pittsburgh in the 2nd. White Sox and the Rays in Tampa Bay in the 1st inning. No score there. Brewers and the Royals in Kansas City in the 1st inning. No score there either. Other games still yet to begin aside from this one. Mariners and the Twins in Minnesota at 4:40. Rangers and the A's in Oakland at 6:40. And finally, the Marlins in LA taking on the Dodgers at 7:10. Walker Buehler making his return to the mound for LA in that one. His season debut, his first appearance on the mound, on a major league mound since 2022 for Walker Buehler. So that's the big news up in LA as they take on the Marlins, and that's a look at the out-of-town scoreboard on this Monday. Well, Donovan Solano, like we've said, is in the Padres lineup here today, set to make his Padre debut, batting 6th and playing third base. I'll get a little bit deeper into Solano's numbers over the course of the last few years after we hear from him. But here was Donovan Solano inside the Padres clubhouse a couple of days ago. How does he describe his opportunity with San Diego?
A blessing. It's one word. Being together is a blessing. This opportunity, and I try to do my best in this team.
How was this process with no spring training and just seemed like you?
I mean, I know I need to get in my bats. I didn't play last year in playoff, but I need to get my bats, get my in shape, my body in shape, my legs in shape. And, I take this time in the minor league like a spring training.
What kind of interest did you get from other teams? Why were the Padres ultimately the pick for you?
I mean, I choose for the Padres because they give me more. They want me, like, they're more interesting about me, and this team want to win, and that's a big part of it.
It seemed like the last couple of years you were very good in the role for two different teams. And then what with this offseason, what happened?
I don't know. I have the same question, but I can't respond. I don't have anything like I need to say. I just I'm surprised, but at the same time, this is what it is. This is the business, and now I'm here.
Do you think it'd be helpful to get a running start coming into the clubhouse where you know so many guys?
Yeah, I think for some reason I'm here. They know what I can do. I can bring my experience. I can bring what I know to everybody. You see a lot of talent here, a lot of experience too. Machado, Bogart, Tatis, everybody got a good experience. So I try to what I know and try to win a lot of more games we can.
That was Donovan Solano inside the Padres clubhouse a couple of days ago. Looking forward to seeing Solano make his Padres debut here today. Just a quick rundown on Solano, because the numbers over his career, they've been really good. He's a .279 career hitter. You even go back and look at what he did with Minnesota in 2023 in 134 games, .282 batting average, .369 on base percentage in 2022, .284 batting average in 80 games with Cincinnati, hit .280 in 2021 with the Giants in more than 100 games, hit .326 in 2020 with the Giants in 54 games in that shortened season. Solano is not going to give you very much power, but he can hit a home run or two here and there. Had 7 home runs in 2021, 4 home runs in 2022, 5 home runs in 2023. Bottom line is this: the Padres are getting a veteran professional hitter, a guy that they know can put together some really nice at-bats, and we'll see how Solano does in his Padres debut here today in Chicago. First pitch coming up at 4:40 in the Windy City. Let's give you our keys to the game.
How will the Padres unlock a victory in today's game? These are the keys to the game. Presented by Honor Buick GMC Hummer in National City.
We take a look at our keys to today's game. Let's begin with Yu Darvish. Darvish being in a familiar place is key number 1. Of course, Darvish was at one time a Chicago Cub, signed with them before the 2018 season, was then traded to the Padres after 3 seasons in Chicago. His first start at Wrigley Field after his time with the Cubs was actually in June of 2022 with the Padres. He was awesome. 8 innings, 1 earned run given up, 5 hits allowed in a Padres win. When you look at the Padres this season, and even last year, they are a great team when they get a quality start. This was from Kevin Acee in the San Diego Union Tribune this morning. The Padres' record this year when they get a quality outing from their starter, 11-3. In 2023, they were 51-24 when they get a quality start. And look, that makes sense. When you get good pitching, typically it means you got a pretty good chance to win a ball game. We'll see if Yu Darvish can deliver a quality outing here today against his former team in Chicago. Key number 2, the Padres may be wise in this game to try stringing hits together and not relying on the home run. Here's why. The home run against Justin Steele, it's not a great idea. It's not a great strategy. Since the start of 2022, Steele has allowed just 22 home runs. His home runs allowed per 9 innings is the 6th best mark in the major leagues in that span. So bottom line, Steele is not typically a guy that gives up many home runs. So if you're the Padres here today, you might want to try not swinging for the fences against Steele because he doesn't normally give up many home runs, but try stringing hits together. Not that I'm a hitting coach, but just a thought. Key number 3, let's stay on the offense. Keep the offense flowing on the road. Padres offense in general has been pretty solid lately, despite losing yesterday. Yesterday was the second consecutive game where all 9 players in the Padres starting lineup recorded at least 1 hit. The Padres have been, as we've discussed the last couple of days, really, really good offensively on the road. A .288 team batting average on the road, the best mark in the majors so far this year. Padres are scoring 5.71 runs per game on the road, and what you really need to know about that number, it's also the best mark in the majors. Compare it to what they've done at home. They've hit .233 at home, and they're averaging 4.5 runs per game. So again, the average on the road is more than 50 points better than at home, and they're scoring more than a run per game more on the road. Jackson Merrill in particular, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about Jackson in our next segment, but Jackson in particular has been much better on the road for whatever reason. Hitting .433 on the road to begin his major league career, just .125 at home. And that's been sort of a theme throughout the lineup. Guys swinging it better on the road than at home. Here today and throughout this series, that's A-OK. Keep it going on the road. That's key number 3, and that's a look at our keys to today's game. Taking a look at one of your keys to today's game, we have Marco on Instagram chiming in, saying good pitching and defense given the tough pitching we'll face with Steele. Marco, you're right on it. Good pitching, good defense with the Padres today. Certainly a key as the Padres go for a series opening win in Chicago. When we come back on our EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show, I'll dive a little bit deeper into what Jackson Merrill and Fernando Tatis Jr. have done as of late. Plus, we'll have a full breakdown of today's starting pitching matchup between Justin Steele and Yu Darvish. First pitch coming up at 4:40 in the Windy City. Our EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show continues after this on the Padres Radio Network.
Stick around for much more coverage of today's Padres game on the EcoWater SoCal Padres.
Our EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Sam Levitt with you inside our San Diego studios. First pitch coming up at 4:40 at Wrigley Field in Chicago. We'll go out to Jesse Agler and Tony Gwynn Jr. in just about 7 minutes. They'll have the full starting lineups for you. First pitch and then all the play-by-play. We'll dive into a good pitching matchup here tonight between Yu Darvish and Justin Steele in just a moment. But first,
what's the one thing Sam Levitt will be keeping his eye on in today's game? This is What to Watch For. Presented by Genesis Home Improvements, San Diego's trusted painting, roofing, and window company. Save 15% today on a new beginning for your home. Visit GenesisHomeImprovementsSD.com.
What to watch for in today's game. Can Jackson and Fernando continue to bounce back? At one point last week, Jackson Merrill was 0 for his last 20, but then he proceeded to go 5 for 12 with a home run and a double in the 3-game series against Arizona. Why do I bring this up? Because the 0 for, those were the first real struggles we've seen for Jackson Merrill. But what I really like, and you should like it too, he didn't allow the 0 for to become a multiple week thing. Didn't allow it to turn into weeks of struggling. He bounced back really quickly. That's what good players do. How does Merrill continue to bounce back tonight and in this series? Fernando Tatis Jr. hit 135 in the 14 games before the series in Arizona. Then he picked it up a bit, went 6 for 15 in the 3 games against the Diamondbacks. Can he continue to bounce back, move in that direction? That's what I'm watching for in today's game and really throughout this series. How do Jackson and Fernando continue to play, continue to bounce back after tough stretches? Now let's dive into our pitching matchup between Yu Darvish and Justin Steele.
Let's take a look at who's on the bump today with our starting pitching preview on the Padres Radio Network.
On the mound for the Padres, right-hander Yu Darvish, 1-1, a 3.45 ERA, 6 starts, 28 innings and 2/3, 25 strikeouts and 10 walks. Last week against the Reds in his return from the IL, 5 innings, no runs given up, 3 hits, he struck out 3, walked nobody. He's made 5 career starts against the Cubs, a 2.76 ERA in those starts. Made a start against them on April 8th of this season, went just 3 innings and gave up 4 runs. Left-hander Justin Steele, 28 years old, on the mound for the Cubs. Steele was the Cubs' opening day starter, got through 4 2/3 innings against the Rangers, but then he injured himself covering first base. It was a hamstring strain. Steele has been on the IL since then, so today will be just his second start of 2024. Steele was really good last year. He was a top 5 finisher in National League Cy Young voting. 2023 season for Steele went 16-5, 3.06 ERA, 173 innings, 176 strikeouts. He only walked 36 last year. He was really good. He's faced the Padres one time in each of the last 2 seasons, and both outings were really good. Last April, 5 innings and a third, no runs given up. In June of 2022, 7 innings, 1 run given up. So he has been good against San Diego in his career. And that's a look at our starting pitching matchup between Yu Darvish and Justin Steele. You've been listening to the EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show on the Padres Radio Network. EcoWater SoCal, your water should be perfect. Find them online at EcoWaterSoCal.com. Padres come in a record of 18-19. Padres had a 4-game win streak snapped yesterday afternoon, but they did take 2 out of 3 from the D-backs. Meanwhile, the Cubs are 21-14. They're just 5-5 in their last 10 games, but they did also take 2 out of 3 from a good Brewers team this weekend. This will be the second series of the season between these two teams. Padres took 2 out of 3 from the Cubs in early April. Like we said earlier, this is the start of a tough week for the Padres. 3 games against a good Cubs team, and then 3 more games at home here in San Diego against a red-hot Dodgers team. So buckle up. It's going to be a big week. We'll see if the Padres can start it on a high note here today. When we come back, Jesse Agler, Tony Gwynn Jr. have the full starting lineups, first pitch, and then all the play-by-play. I'll talk to you on our post-game show. You're listening to your home for San Diego Padres baseball, 97.3 The Fan, and the Padres Radio Network.
Hey, it's your old pal Woodsy for Valvoline Instant Oil Change. Valvoline is your 15-minute drive-through oil change. So quick and easy. If you haven't had your oil changed in a while, get it done today. Go to SoCalOilChange.com for directions and discounts. SoCalOilChange.com.
J&W Lumber has proudly been serving our San Diego community for over 66 years, much like our beloved hometown baseball team. Ready